Welcome to the 2023 SUSE CP Conference, the Edge of Opportunity podcast from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. The Southeastern United States Canadian Provinces, or SUSE CP Alliance, was established in 2007 to formally advance a common interest in enhancing economic ties between the two regions. The Alliance is a strategic trade and investment-focused partnership between 6 southeastern U.S. states and 6 Canadian provinces. This year's conference is focused on opportunities in the blue and green economies.
And welcome to the Edge of Opportunity podcast here at SUSE CP 2023 with Gale Force Winds. I'm Alan Dale. With us always is Jerry Carew. Craig, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm Craig Harvey with NVision Solutions. We're from the Mississippi Gulf Coast to be exact. Small company, just under 150 people. We've been around for about 22 years now. Founded at NASA Stennis Space Center, and that's kind of where our focus is. We do a lot of harsh environment engineering. We build things that go to the bottom of the ocean or to space. Do a lot of mapping. We originally started as a mapping company. In fact, my first few trips into Canada were to try to push the mapping off, and then I figured out Canada got there first. They kind of founded GIS. I was like, late to that dance. So we're off again. But I've met a lot of great business folks, over the last 15 years. We don't always work out business, but they're in the Rolodex, and sometimes being able to share somebody a new resource is as good as actually having done business at the same time. Drawing those lines is important for small businesses. The state of Mississippi has been just wonderful about bringing small businesses on these trade missions and these conferences. I did a trade mission just before this conference. Was in PEI and Halifax for 2 different reasons. The PEI stuff was about oyster production. I'm working for an inventor, Autodive, and he thinks he's got a $50 million idea, but what entrepreneur doesn't believe that their idea is $50 million? And before I set up a production facility, I wanted to come and talk to some real people that are producing oysters, say, what do you think? And we got some very valuable feedback on that. They pointed out the really great things about the new technology and the stuff that was like, maybe. So a lot of thinking to be done on that part of it. Halifax and over here at St. John's, this conference, we've met a number of companies. NVision is growing. We're getting ready to expand. I'm getting ready to have an appointment with a company that's already doing up here what we're going to expand in. So whether they decide they want to do something in Mississippi with me, or whether they're just willing to share some gotchas along the way, that's kind of what we're looking to get out of the conference. There's not a business person on the planet that I won't sit down and have coffee with or talk to. I think it's that valuable.
Yeah, it sounds like a very collaborative approach that you have, which is fantastic, and I think that's the strength of this alliance, this SUSE CP network, is that collaborative network. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I've met a company up here yesterday, actually, that I can't really use what they do, but I know that what they do is important in our neck of the woods, and I really say you really need to figure out a way to come to the Gulf Coast. Next year, Mississippi is hosting SUSE on the Gulf Coast, and the reason that's important and kind of different than here is I mentioned Stennis Space Center. It's a federal center that has 30 plus federal agencies on it. It's 15 miles away. They don't have to travel, so those people that are interested in technology and buyers will be at that conference. For us, smaller businesses, you call it a target-rich environment. Right. Everybody you talk to isn't a partner, is a potential buyer. Right. So particularly for this company, I think they will very much benefit. Trying to get into DoD, those are the people that's going to be there.
Tell us about a little bit about the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Many of the guests probably wouldn't know much about it.
It's warm, but we have great air conditioners. People say, doesn't it get hot? Sure it does. But you know what? When it's 2 degrees up here, nobody's out like mowing their yard, right? So it's just a different thing. You hang out in the house, you watch hockey or football. It's the same thing. When it gets really hot, it's an indoor, thing. Speaking of indoors, we've the Gulf Coast of Mississippi's got everything that a big city has. We're an hour from New Orleans. We've got a professional football team over there. We're an hour from Mobile, Alabama. Great shopping. So everything in between is a lot like this. It's more of a small economy, smaller neighborhoods, that sort of thing. The Gulf Coast, however, Mississippi has the second largest square footage of gambling in the United States. We surpassed Atlantic City just not too long ago.
Really?
Yep. And what that brings with it is top tier, top name entertainment and dining. We've got our fair share of fine dining, more than our fair share for the size of our community. It's also got one of the longest beaches in the United States. It's 27 miles of white sand.
Wow.
We got, offshore fishing, nearshore fishing, for the hunting enthusiasts, hunting. I just pretty much moved to heaven before I died. That's where I'm at.
Craig, you're not running for governor, are you?
No. That's a hard job.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you really sold the place, and thanks for telling us about your company and your offering. And I'm so glad of your collaborative approach. It just rings so well with everything that Sioux CP is about. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the 2023 Sioux CP Conference, the Edge of Opportunity podcast from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. The 2024 conference is taking place in Biloxi, Mississippi, and we look forward to seeing you there.